Well, welcome back to the Fruit of Grisaia. Are you seriously going to do this? I mean, here of all places.
何言ってんのよ。こんな場所だからいいんじゃない。
Amane-chan, you're so pretty.
そう。こんな場所だからいい。ユージがそれを望むなら、どんな場所であろうと、どんな行為であろうと、私はそれを受け入れる。これもまた、私の決意表明だ。
どうしたのよさ、お兄ちゃん。
I don't know, but I just felt a chill run down my spine.
私の中で温めてあげようか。
Cut it out. You want to face Amane's wrath?
だよもう。それでも小水雷鳥なの？
Spare me the bizarre analogies. Get over here already. I'll wash your head.
つまんねえの。
Alright, here comes the hot water.
うわっ、全部発射管室浸水。
I'm aware that Amane is keeping a diary, but I've never once discussed it with her. Honestly, I'm not especially interested. TB once told me that the contents of a woman's diary, like those of her purse, are best left unseen. Helps preserve your pleasant illusions. True enough, I guess. Then again, when I look at JB or Principal Tachibana these days, I get the feeling that clinging too strongly to your romantic fantasies about the opposite sex can be problematic in its own right. In any case, women are complicated creatures. When you actually start dating one, you'll inevitably end up seeing many different sides of her. Sometimes that must be downright disillusioning. Fortunately, that hasn't been my experience. While I'll admit I find Amane's hyperactive sex drive somewhat puzzling, I really don't have anything to complain about in that or any other regard. I understand that women at her age have a strong sense of sexual curiosity, and after all, this is her first relationship. It's only natural that she'd want to try out a lot of different things. And while I can't deny the possibility something else may be motivating her behavior, I decided to stop overthinking things. I'll give her my half-hearted cooperation until she gets bored of these aggressive carnal antics.
Naniその三段活用っていうか最後別の意味になってるよね。夏休みぐらいでどうしてそこまでテンションが上げられるのか不思議だわ。何言ってんのよ。夏休みよ。サマーのバケーションなのよ。マミコこそなんでそんなテンション低いわけ？授業がないということ以外何も変化はないような気もするけど。
ユミちゃんは若いくせに枯れた老人のような発想なのよさ。夏なのよ。夏といえばチャレンジの季節。新しいことに挑戦する気持ちをなくしたらすでに老化は始まっているのよ。そうよね、お兄ちゃん。
Yeah, I guess so.
世の中は絶えず進歩し続ける。その進歩についていけず、 変わることを恐れて自分の中にある価値観にしがみつき、天津さえそれを他者にまで強制する。それを老害というのです。夏休みがくだらないとは何事か。それは進化を諦め偽りの価値観にしがみつく惨めな老人の発言なのに、榊由美子、あんた老害が服着て歩いてるような女だな。
夏休みを冷静に受け止めたというだけでこうも侮辱されるとは。
Too over the top to tolerate, but too close to the truth to brush aside. An excellent piece of agitation to produce such marked irritation in an apathetic modern youth. You might have a future in psyops.
風見くん、またあなた余計なことをイリスさんに吹き込んでな。
Right, my bad. Makina, listen up. Sakaki has the right to her own opinion on summer vacation. Her perspective on the world is just as valid as yours. For example, change isn't always a good thing.
R32 が R33 に進化した時、なんでこんな風になっちゃったのかなって確かに思ったわ。
何の話よ。
っていうかさ、そうやって偉そうに言ってるマキナは何かに挑戦するわけ？
もちろんなのよさ。私はこの夏サクサク職人を目指すのよ。
サクサク職人？何それ？多分パン職人のことだと思います。
Oh, right. Isn't saksak that bread made with starch from the sago palm tree?
はい、先日マキちゃんとミチル様におやつでベルギーワッフルを作ったのですが、その時にパンケーキの話になりまして。
そう、それでパン職人、サゴヤシからでんぷんを取ってサクサクが作れるようになればニューギニアに行っても困らないのよ。
あなた、パプアニューギニアに行く予定でもあるの？
そりゃないけどさ。
The girl's found herself some motivation. No need to be a wet blanket. It's better than idling away the time without any objective whatsoever, wouldn't you say?
それはそうだけれど。
確かに食べ物は重要だよね。料理を覚えたいなら私が教えてあげるよ。
そんじゃパンが焼けるようになりたいのよさ。
パンはお店で買うばっかりで、自分で焼いたのは小学校の家庭科で習った時ぐらいかな。
In that case, Makina, how about getting a part-time job at a bakery?
ちょっとだってマキナよ。アルバイトなんてできるの
Makina, Uchiru's opinion on the matter seems clear. Tell me, do you agree that it's hopelessly beyond your capabilities?
そんなことないのよ。無理だって思うから無理なのよさ。無理なんて言葉はない。やればできると思えば何だってできるのよ。
Nicely said.
知らないわよ。マキナが現実にぶち当たって挫折しても。
So much the better if she does. If you don't know how to learn from your failures, you'll never succeed. Once the kid's out of elementary school, you need to stop holding their hand all the time, or they'll never grow up. Never grow up. Let them run around and trip and skin their knees. That's how they learn to pick themselves up off the ground.
なんかいいこと言ってる風じゃないのよ。さすがは風見さんです。この小峰幸、おしめになうです。
If you get moist this easily, you're going to end up getting mildew down there.
何それ。
Anyway, Makina, having an objective is a laudable thing. Devote yourself to your baking this summer, then fly off to Leyte or Luzon as your whims direct you. And so, with Makina's borderline nonsensical explosion of enthusiasm, our summer vacation began. Having a goal in life is a truly admirable thing, just as I pompously informed Makina, but it's not like I've got any well-defined objective of my own. It's been that way for a long time. I float through my days without any clear direction, staying alive for lack of a better alternative. Every once in a while, someone remembers I exist and shoves a job on me. I thought I came to this school in order to change that aimless way of life. Not that I had any idea what sort of a change I wanted. I didn't come in with any overblown expectations, just a vague anticipation of something new. But as it turned out, what changed wasn't so much my purposeless routine. It was the way I viewed the scenery floating past. In other words, my way of thinking itself has changed. Never saw that one coming.
Hi! お昼ご飯の用意できたわよ。
いやー、お腹すいたのよさ。ハングリモングリー。今日のお昼はなーに？
今日はね、ちらし寿司とクラムチャウダーのスープ。
やー、両方とも大好き。楽しみ。
Sushi on rice with clam chowder. The menu's never exactly coherent, but you're taking things to a whole new level of weird.
ごめんね。両方ともマキナのリクエストなのよ。でもちゃんと栄養価は計算してあるから。よ
っしゃ、もりもり食おうぜ。
A combination of a very Japanese seafood dish and a very Western soup. It's the culinary equivalent of wearing a kimono with combat boots, but mysteriously, when I actually give it a try, the tastes don't particularly clash. Most likely, Amane's diligent efforts weren't directed solely toward the nutritional front, but I'm sure she adjusted. I'm sure she adjusted the flavor of the two dishes to complement each other. The sushi's lightly seasoned with shiitake mushrooms and other vegetables, all boiled to a pleasant firmness. The chowder's just salty enough, its scent reminiscent of the sea. A surprising combination, yes, but the taste is soothing.
おめえなー。やっぱあまねえは料理むちゃくちゃ上手な。
Indeed it is. Her mother must have raised her well. Marry a woman like this, and you'll never come to regret it, Makina. My friend, I encourage you to learn from her example.
大げさだな。
でもアマネはどうしても煮物が多くなるのよさ。
Hardly anything to complain about. Gives you that home cooking feel, right? It's like something a mother would make. For me, maternal cooking is associated with memories of canned food. But Amane's meals always make me think of the idealized, perfect mother I pictured as a child. Her food's comforting somehow. If you have the money to spend, you can get as much exotic gourmet food as you want, but a meal that conveys this sort of simple, earnest warmth is far harder to come by. Far harder.
芋がらとかふきとかひじきの煮物とか、なんかお母さんというよりはおばあちゃんの味なのよ。そりゃね、毎日病院で食ってたべっちゃべちゃで味のしないご飯よりは全然おいしいし、感謝もしてるのよ。でも若い子は脂っこくって味の濃いものが食べたいものなのよさ。
そんなこと言って、あんた私に隠れて結構食べてるじゃないのよ。この間もリップグロス塗ったみたいに口の周りテッカテカにして帰ってきて、何食べたのよ。
コンビニでフライドチキンを少々。
もう食べるなとは言わないから、食べたらちゃんと言いなさいっていつも言ってるでしょ。
分かってるのよ。
それとあんたはもう少しゆっくり食べなさいよ。ちゃんと噛んでる？
口うるさい母親モードに突入して風向きが怪しくなってきたのよさ。
What's that sound? The grating pattern of electronic beeps seems to be emerging from the egg-shaped digital pet dangling at Makina's waist.
おっと、こいつはいけねえ。もうこんな時間なのよさ。私この後パン屋さんのアルバイトの面接があるから。そんじゃごちそうさ。
あ、こら、ちょっとマキナ。
ごめんアマネ。お小言の続きは帰ってから聞くから。そんじゃ行ってきまーす。
もう仕方がないな。
Well, she did finish everything on her plate before she ran off. No big deal.
それにしてもあの子がパン屋さんでアルバイトか。心配だな。
I understand how you feel, but the girl's jumping into something on her own initiative. That's a good thing, don't you think? All you have to do is take a step back and watch over her affectionately.
それは分かってるんだけどね。私心配しすぎかな。
Makina being the way she is, it'd be stranger if you weren't at least a little concerned. But unless you show some faith at times, it'll undercut her self-esteem and give her an excuse not to try.
そうだね。
It'll be alright. Makina's much more clever than she looks. She'll do well. What's so funny?
なんか私たち父親と母親みたいだよね。
You might be right.
なんかさ、こうして何でもない毎日を普通に過ごせるのって幸せだよね。
Yeah, you're definitely not wrong about that. Normal. Right? Normality. I hadn't been looking for some dramatic change from the start. I wanted to find my way to exactly this sort of peaceful, commonplace existence. But the ability to appreciate such things is mostly reserved for the elderly. The exception would be those who have been made to realize the value of a normal existence early on by exposure to something worse. Amane, are you? No, it's nothing.
なーに変なユージ
Come to think of it, the word normal is about as vague as it gets. Normal, typical, average. These are relative points of reference, entirely dependent on your environment. You don't have to kill anyone. No one tries to kill you. No one screams in your ear in the middle of the night. You won't see a corpse rotting inside a train carriage. A moment of pleasure doesn't drag you down into self-loathing and guilt. A moment of misery doesn't lead you to curl up into a ball and weep for forgiveness. Is that what most of us mean when we say the word normal? The absence of such things? Probably so. But there are people who've lived with such abnormalities as their normal. Living normally is far more difficult than it sounds. It's only possible when you found yourself a suitable environment, someone, someplace, something that enables you to live in peace. I probably came to the school in an attempt to find what I was missing. And now that I think about it, the thing I needed. Might well have been a woman like you, Amane.
なーになんか言った
We're good. Nothing much, just admiring your mother's impressive as always.
だろう触っとく
I'll save that for later. For the moment, I'm going to wash my hair.
そうそんじゃ私が洗ってあげる
Alright then, if you would.
オッケ
By now, I've gotten pretty accustomed to Amane's relentless attempts to take care of my every need, as if I were some helpless invalid. She must have grown up watching her mother devotedly serve her father, eventually internalizing the idea that waiting on men hand and foot was a woman's normal role. That was my original guess, at least. But when I actually asked her, it seems the truth was quite the opposite. If anything, her father was the busybody of the family. I got my looks from Mom and my personality from Dad.
はいお湯かけるよ
Right. Amane's family on her mother's side runs a well-established restaurant in Kyoto. Her father had been a cook there. After marrying the owner's eldest daughter, he set up his own branch in Tokyo. Tokyo. Probably because of that history, his attitude toward Amane's mother was always deferential, even servile. Apparently, every once in a while, he'd slip up and call her miss in his own home. When I hear Amane describe the man, he really does sound a lot like her. A pushy busybody with a fundamentals timid streak.
よーしついでだから背中も流しちゃおうね
Don't mash your juice against me, woman.
ああごめんわざと
Huh. But who did she get this total lack of shame from? Amane herself tells me she inherited it from her grandmother. Seems the old woman had quite the wreck herself back in the day and taught Amane that breasts are weapons to be used aggressively in conquering men. Well, I'd like to have a frank exchange of opinions with that grandmother of hers. Amane's stories of home always leave me with the impression of a loving, happy family. As someone who has nothing of the kind, I'm envious. Sometimes it's hard to listen to her without feeling a twinge of bitterness. But even when I know it's showing on my face, Amane keeps right on going without a hint of concern. And she always concludes her stories with the same phrase. If you marry me, they'll be your family too, you know? Yeah, not an impossible scenario. I've already begun to consider the possibility of starting a family with Amane, and more importantly, the girl seems to be quite willing to move things in that direction, even eager. After summer vacation started, on more than one occasion we literally spent an entire day in each other's arms. That was a bit over the top any way you look at it.
何？
Our marathon, even for me, 12 times in a single day was a first.
最後に赤い玉が出るって言うよね。本当なのかな？
Can't say, never tried.
もうずいぶんやってるけど出ないよね。どれぐらいで出るんだろう。
If a red one pops out at the end, wouldn't you get a yellow one first?
ああ、なんだろう。掃除機のコードみたいな感じ？
Right, seems logical. What's with you?
いや、なんかさ、バカな会話だなって思って。
All men look like idiots to a sensible woman. Better get used to it.
ねえ、ユージ。もし子供ができたらどうする？
Have a baby as far as I'm concerned. I've got the savings to support a kid or two, so long as we're reasonably frugal.
へえ、意外。将来考えて貯金なんてしてるんだ。
No, I just haven't really had anything to spend my money on.
ねえ、子供は男の子と女の子、どっちが欲しい？
A girl, I'd say.
なんで？
I like the idea of playing with my daughter in the bathtub.
ああ、そういう病気なの。
Okay, woman, you've crossed a line here.
いった！脇腹の肉引っ張んないでよ。
Amane, have you lost a little weight?
ああ、まあね。痩せるのは嬉しいけど、たまにはさ、彼女をどっかに連れてってなんか美味しいものでも食べさせようとか思わない？
Hadn't even considered the idea.
ちょっと。
Alright then, I'll give it some thought. What are we talking about here? An amusement park? Something of that sort?
それいいかも。こうさ、シート広げてお弁当とか食べるような場所がいいな。
A Let's see. The zoo sounds most appropriate in that case.
それいい。行こう行こう。マキナも連れてさ。
It wouldn't exactly be a date if we did just us, alright?
いいのかな。マキナ拗ねたりしない？
Well, if we ask her straight out to let us have a date to ourselves, I doubt she'll throw much of a fuss. Don't worry, I'll handle that.
やったー。すっごい楽しみ。ね、いつにする？
Good question. Well, any day's fine by me, I guess.
じゃあさ、明日は明日にしようよ。
Pretty sudden, don't you think?
ダメ？
Well, alright.
やったー。約束だよ。私お風呂出たらお弁当の下準備しなきゃ。
Hate to distract you from your enthusiasm, but how long do you plan on leaving me covered in bubbles?
ごめんごめん、今流すから。はい、目閉じて。
If it was going to make her this happy, I wish I'd come up with the idea earlier. It was a carefree thought, a product of the relaxed life I've been enjoying of late. I guess I'd just forgotten. However, my perspective on the world might change. A truly normal life requires something like freedom. Oh yeah, if this is normal though, I absolutely want more of it. And on the date of our date, I have come to regret my careless optimism. That morning, Amane was in an excellent mood, humming happily to herself as she packed food into our lunchbox.
やっぱ遠足のお弁当といえばおにぎりに唐揚げよね。タコさんウインナーにポテトサラダにコールスロー、余った隙間にいかがわしいほどに真っ赤なナポリタンをちょっと入れて、そしてデザートはうさぎりんご。はあ、うわ、やっべえ、これって完璧じゃない？
You're pretty energetic first thing in the morning.
そうかな。でもほら、だって私男の子と動物園行くのなんて初めてだし、なんか上がるわ。
Amane, let me ask you something. You do understand that a zoo is just a place where you can look at some animals in cages, right? If she was some devoted wildlife maniac, it'd be one thing. Let's be perfectly honest, I don't think many people at our age get quite this excited by the prospect of visiting a zoo.
分かっちゃいないね、ユージくん。動物園は目的じゃなくてきっかけなんだよ。彼氏とお出かけする理由でしかないの。わかる？
Well, I can understand what you're trying to say, I guess.
ぶっちゃけ女の子はデートなんてどこだっていいんだよ。どこへ行くかじゃなくて誰と行くかが重要なんだからさ。
That a fact?
彼氏と2人ではしゃぎ回って疲れた私は帰りの電車で思わず居眠り。隣に座ったユージの肩にコテッと頭を乗せて寝ちゃうの。どう？漫画みたいじゃない？
You're pointing this out in advance?
肩に乗った私の頭からは甘いシャンプーの香り。ドッキリとして思わず目を向ければ ちらりと覗く豊満な胸元が目に飛び込む。ああ、あまねかわいいよ、あまね。
Well, if you're this fired up before we even get there, I guess it's entirely possible you'll be dead tired on the way back.
でもさ、よくマキナが許してくれたね。あの子絶対についていくって言うと思ってたのに。
Yeah, well, in Makina's words, she's not exactly happy to be left out, but she's not planning on turning into a nuisance of a woman either.
なんかちょっとかわいそうなことしちゃったかな。
It's too early to let down your guard. A few minutes after that conversation, I saw her furtively whispering with Sachi. There's a possibility they're going to try and sneak after us.
だったらもういっそみんなでさ。
Sorry, phone. I have a decidedly bad feeling about this. The vibrations are coming from the work cell phone in my breast pocket. Sure enough, when I take it out, the name Julia is displayed on the LCD screen. Not that I was expecting a wrong number. Oh. I knew it was coming, but those words inspire a wave of disgust and bitter regret. When JB gives me orders over this black telephone, I simply can't disobey. What's the situation?
Type A ハードオプション10分後に迎えを出すわ用意して
Affirmative. Why now of all times? And it's a type A hard option, a top priority mission that absolutely requires my presence. No matter what my circumstances, I can't decline or delegate this to a stand-in. Amane, sorry, but...
お仕事かな。
Yeah, that's right.
すぐに出るの？
They'll be coming to pick me up in 10 minutes.
そっか。じゃあ仕方がないよね。
Sorry, I'll make this up to you no matter what, so...
うん、そうして必ず帰ってきて必ず埋め合わせするのよ。
Understood.
ほらそんな顔しないの。早く行きなさい。
I'll be back as soon as I can.
あ、ちょっと待ってユージ。
What?
これお弁当せっかくだから持って行ってよ。お昼食べるくらいの余裕はあるんでしょ。
Alright, I'll take it. Thank you, Amane.
頑張って。
That I will. Amane is a reasonable woman at times like these, exceptionally so. Strangely, that makes me feel all the more guilty. I don't think she has any real idea what sort of job I'm heading out to do right now. Which means she must have a million questions she wants to ask me, and twice as many complaints she wants to throw at me. But Amane doesn't ask me anything. She doesn't voice any of those thoughts. Knowing that fills me with a helpless sense of remorse. I have no idea who you are or what you're trying to pull, but congratulations, you've officially made me very mad. Better brace yourself, jerk. I'm going to make this one hurt. I'll teach you to cancel my date. I'll finish this in one shot, eat my lunch, and be back home in no time. Just try and stop me, piece of garbage. Jeez.
あまね、どうしたの？なんかあったの？今さっきお兄ちゃんがカッカしながら出てったけど。
Bye.